Welcome to the WK Burnout Studio. Today we're going to talk about the Chevrolet Corvette. And since 1953, Corvette's been one of the longest running nameplates in the whole automotive world. And now on the 8th generation, the Corvette has become something a little bit more. It's one of the hottest products in the whole entire supercar market. And they can be a little tough to get. So today we're going to give some tips and tricks, different ways that you can get a Corvette that all vary on how patient you can be. Let's go. All right, so let's talk about Corvettes, and let's talk about the different ways that you can get a Corvette right now. So your options start out with the in a big hurry option, which a lot of people are. This is kind of a new thing for Corvette, being a big staple in the supercar community and a really, really hot item. A lot of these cars are, at this point, there are guys that have had 4 or 5 of them, and it's only been in production for 3 years. So this is new for Corvette and being a big deal in the supercar community. So let me explain a few of the different ways. So you're in the big hurry to start. Your options are a little more limited. Generally, if you want one today, you can get one today. You can go to Facebook owner groups and find them for sale by individuals, lightly pre-owned. They're really nice. These aren't the kind of thing where you have to worry a whole lot about getting some kind of a one that's been through a rough life. And these guys know when they get them. Everybody knows it's a profitable investment no matter what you do. If you keep it, you're sitting on a gold mine. If you sell it, keep it nice, and you've got a constant flow of buyers. So you can get a really just like new one with 1,200 miles, 1,500 miles that probably already has paint protection products on it, maybe some accessories, maybe some nice different wheels. You have a lot of options, but you have to pay for them. So the cars list, generally a full load coupe is going to be around 90 grand. A lot of these on the aftermarket, lightly pre-owned ones can be, 120. 125 for coupes. You see some convertibles up in the 135, 140 range, and it just depends. From individuals, from dealers, they're showing quite a bit of markup there. But you can get the car right now, and it's still worth it. I mean, that's people trading out of cars that are MSRP Porsches for over 200, over 250. They get their Corvette, they pay a premium for it, but man, they're still really happy. The guys that I've talked to, so. That's one way to do it. Facebook Marketplace, search on, listing sites, cars.com, stuff like that. You can find them, fresh trade-ins. And this isn't something where a lot of people are trading in because they didn't like the car. They were trading in because it's financially like a good deal for them if they wanted to. And a lot of these people being in the hypercar community now, the Corvettes are being sold to people that they'll want a different color a few months after they get theirs. and they'll just get it. So that don't worry about it so much being that, oh, this one was a lemon, this one's a problem, that this is somebody else. No, I'm really not seeing very much of that at all. This is just a new type of Corvette person. Now that we've got a mid-engine supercar, it definitely attracts a different kind of buyer, and these guys can go through them really, really quickly. So that's the reason you're probably seeing more real low mileage pre-owned ones, out there available, is because, they just wanted a different color usually. So the second way to get it would be to place an order or get on a list at one of the big national dealerships that deals in, they sell thousands and thousands of Corvettes a year. That's one way to do it. If you've got the travel time and you still want it very, very promptly, you can usually get in on an incoming. Maybe you won't be able to pick your stuff. Maybe you will. I mean, there's different variances of that, just depending on the national dealer you go to. But where my specialty lies is maybe with your hometown dealer. So this is your third option, and this is a pretty good one too. So you contact your dealer that you buy your truck and all your other cars from, and they might be a smaller dealership Corvette wise with a lower allocation. So let's use WK, for example. About 6 a year is what we've been able to deliver to customers since 2020. So 6 new Corvettes every single model year since then. It's been pretty consistent. It's not as many as we think we will have earned based on our Corvette sales for the previous generation, which a lot were sold orders and delivered quickly. But, that just doesn't correlate necessarily to what you earn as a dealer for the next generation. So let's say your hometown dealer's got a list. It's a little discouraging, right? The list goes, we're sold out till 2025 model year. Well, that comes pretty quickly for a number of reasons. So, I think of the hometown Corvette buyer as perhaps having maybe not another C8 Corvette already that they want to trade. Maybe you've got a C5 that you've kept great, you've shown for years and years and years, and it's a cherry car. When you put something like that for sale, or you go to trade it in, for example, first thing, you can get a value. But then if you place your order, you've got a long time to take that thing to shows with a for sale sign in it. You can even get a for sale decal. I've seen those before. It stays on. It's always for sale. So that gives you time to really work the community for people that actually like that specific model, which, if you've got a 03 anniversary, or something like that, you could find the right person regardless of your miles. If it's a clean car in good condition, you could get, a good amount for it. You might have to go a little bit of time without a Corvette in the garage, which is hard, but you can get like a flag or something to put up in the meantime, or a coming soon or something like that. But most of the small town dealers, should be doing it the way that we're doing it. We've got a really transparent list. We just sell for MSRP. I think you'll find that at a lot of different places. If they're a very small volume dealer where they only get 1 or 2 a year, maybe they don't do a list and they just list those out for over MSRP. That might not be your place. Okay. Even if you tell them well in advance, if they still want to mark up above MSRP and you're waiting, you should be able to get it for MSRP if you're willing to wait for a while. Could be a year, could be 2 years, but that's putting you at a big advantage over a lot of people that are buying and selling them constantly. So don't put your mind so much like you have maybe on previous generations with what's going to have the best resale. They all have good resale, right? You pick what you want with this car. And I think that's really important for people to remember as they're looking and as they're building their orders. If you think of it as an investment, you might end up getting what you don't really want or what you don't really need, because you're probably going to find, like a lot of owners, that once you get the car, you kind of want to keep it and you kind of want to drive it because it's the best Corvette ever, hands down. And I really think that that's something that people need to keep into consideration as they're placing orders and going through the process. So when you're dealing with a smaller town dealer like us, we've got a really transparent list. You come in, you say you want on the list. Your name goes on the list. Other people above you say, I've decided against it, or, one of a few things. Either I found one somewhere else, I've gone broke, or I'm just not willing to wait. And the whole hype of getting it is all that I really kind of had in mind. and that's going to be a long wait. And I'm just not like that. So that's okay. But as those people fall off, you should move up then, right? If your dealer is running a really good transparent list, then your whole, 2025 model year sold out until it could go down a little bit as time goes by. So keep that in mind. Patience is a real virtue with this. One thing I find, and I wonder if, the dealers that have really long lists and a lot of orders in the queue, let's say, for example, the Z51 suspension package and performance package that was actually just made so that if the non-Z51 is what was on constraint, so you couldn't get a non-Z51 car. And I saw some people saying, oh, my dealer called me and they wanted a $5,000 package, or I wouldn't be able to get my car this year. Well, that's because they're not building them without that package, at that time. So at the end of the 22 model year. So something to keep in mind is good communication with your dealer of choice. If they have a Corvette specialist, somebody that's taken tests, gone to the events and stuff where they learn more about it, that person should be like kind of on your speed dial and you on theirs. When something like this comes up and here you are at the top of the list with no Z51 performance package, but 3 down from you, this guy has it. Are they just going to let that person's order go because your specific wants were on constraint at that certain build cycle? Maybe, but you need to know that stuff. It kind of makes sense that if the list goes in order, you'll get a call and say, hey, you can keep your spot on the list and keep going if you add this package. Communication is key, and it's really important to keep that going. And I mentioned that the wait is a good time to sell your other Corvette that you have. And make a good profit on that if it's late model, or way more than you would have gotten previous years if it's any of the prior generations. Just the name Corvette has made all things with the name Corvette on it go up in value lately. So keep that in mind as you go. You might want to take advantage of that time to do something with your current Corvette yourself, with a baseline from the dealership of what they would give, whenever your car comes in, or approximately. Okay, so we've given a few kind of surface level tips on where you can go depending on your level of urgency, right? So that you can look on Marketplace, pay a markup, get a car right now. Kind of quell some of those worries about it being a bad car or anything like that for the reason that the person's wanting to get rid of it. This is a supercar market now. And those people go through cars kind of like they go through shoes, and they have really, really nice shoes at the supercar club meets. So keep in mind, it's just a little bit of a different market. If you want one now, you can get one now. And if you need advice on that, you should be able to kind of call on your hometown dealer as an advisor with that to maybe check the history of the car and see if there's been a motor replaced at 500 miles or anything like that, but we're really not seeing a ton of that, at least in our neck of the woods. So, but we've given tips on communication with your hometown dealer. Figure out what their shtick is. If they've got a list, it should be a transparent, nice, easy list, and it should be for MSRP. So with those things in mind, a Corvette's attainable. And a Corvette in the near future, brand new from a dealership, your local dealership, is also attainable as long as you work with them and keep a good line of communications. Some will require a deposit, some won't. This is all on the topic of a Stingray. At this point with Z06, anybody's guess is just a guess at how many they're going to earn, how many they're going to receive. It's a pretty wide open deal. So a lot of people that have been on a Z06 list are kind of now realizing, especially as if their dealer's honest with them, they keep telling them, hey, we have 23 people on the Z06 list. And during this whole entire generation, my guess for the receiving 6 Stingrays a year is that we'll just get a couple of Z06s in this generation. Could be 4, could be 6, but we don't know yet. And there's no direct number indication from anyone at General Motors as how many we're going to receive. So a lot of people on that long Z06 list are kind of starting to feel like maybe they're not going to get the car, but they need to experience a Stingray just to see if that would fulfill all of their needs. Which in a lot of cases, I think it does. So I've had a lot of people switch over from the wishful Z06 list when you're down in the lower portion or the higher portion of it, where you're up near number 20 or 22. Then it's like, you know what, I could actually lock in the fact that I'm going to receive one in 2025, and I'll get a Corvette this way rather than just hoping for the next 5 years that I'm going to get a Z06. So you need to kind of keep that in mind. If previously in all the previous generations, all you've ever got is a Z06, you've been driving Vettes since 53, right? You've had a Z06 since Z06 was a big nameplate in C5, right? C5Z, C6Z, you've had them all. You might consider the Stingray in lieu of the Z06, because we're entering into a territory where 0 to 60 times, performance numbers, and the quality and uniqueness of the car in and of itself, even though it's getting to higher production levels, you still are driving a lot of car when you have a Stingray. There's nothing base about it. So keep that in mind. If you immediately jump to the Z06 list and you're way down there and maybe not even going to get one this generation from your local dealer, or if you're a little nervous like I am about, oh my gosh, if one of them is available, once this all gets started, what type of premium markup you're going to have to pay. Is the car still going to be worth it? I really think so. I think, based on the numbers and all the specs that they've released on it, it seems like a $250,000 car. It compares to well over $250,000 cars in the supercar category. So it's going to be special. But so is a Stingray, especially for under $100,000. If you've got a little bit of patience and you can wait just a little while, you can get one of the most remarkable cars on the planet for one of the most remarkable prices on the planet. So keep all this stuff in mind as you're thinking Corvette. When it comes to your mind, you're like, hey, well, I want to check and see what this is like. This is kind of like a little guide to show you, based on your level of urgency, what your options might be. So good luck. If you have questions, type them in the comments. Let us know what you're thinking. And we're always available to talk. And I love talking about Corvettes. So hit us up anytime. And that's it. Oh, join us next week. Yeah, right. Join us next week at the Burnout studio for more stuff and things. It's going to be really good.
This has been a WK Burnouts production.